Hi, I'm Jeff Walters, and welcome to The Minutes. And thanks for listening today. It's great to have you on The Minutes for the week of September the 9th, 2024. This is a City of Thunder Bay podcast. The Minutes takes a look at what happened at Thunder Bay City Council this past week. You can find The Minutes wherever you get your podcasts, including our YouTube channel and our website, thunderbay.ca/The Minutes. If you want to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening at City Hall, just hit that subscribe button. On this episode, we'll have a rundown of what happened at this week's City Council meeting and an interview with Cory, the manager of Parks and Open Spaces in Thunder Bay. We'll talk about the future of Outdoor Rinks in just a couple of minutes. But first, a report that many people were waiting to hear about options for the James Whalen tugboat. That report has been delayed. The report on the future of the James Whalen tugboat and the future of the Kaministiquia River Heritage Park and via train display was delayed and pulled from the agenda at the request of administration. The report will be presented to Council next week, and that is the September the 16th meeting. The Nuclear Waste Management Organization made a deputation to Council on Monday night. The deputation involved the proximity principle and was in response to a deputation made in previous weeks from We the Nuclear Free North. The NWMO is the organization that has proposed a nuclear waste repository near Ignace. We the Nuclear Free North wanted Council to agree with the proximity principle, which is that waste should stay in the area that it is created. The deputation on Monday focused on the NWMO's plans to build the repository near Ignace and how it will take preventative measures to ensure the safety of everyone during transportation and storage of the waste. The Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce also weighed in on the subject, speaking about the economic impact of the disposal site if built near Ignace. The Chamber provided a letter of support for the project, noting it would create jobs at Ignace as well as in Thunder Bay. Later in the evening at City Council, Council voted to not send any letters showing its support for the proximity principle. However, Council did ask administration to review the dangerous goods route that passes through Thunder Bay. To help build more homes in Thunder Bay, housing grant applications are now available on the city's website. If you're a homeowner looking to add additional units like basement suites or backyard homes, or a developer looking to build a multi-unit housing building, then these grants are for you. Apply today and find out more at buildthunderbay.ca. Council heard an update on Monday regarding the future of outdoor rinks in the city. A new rink policy would change how administration looks at downgrading a rink from supervised to non-supervised or gets rid of its boards. The new policy would be in effect for this season. It would use something different than a 5-year average, but would use rates of usage over the past 5 years to determine if the rink should be downgraded. Before downgrading, the rink would be posted for 1 year so that skaters and hockey players would know that the usage rates are falling below the city's target. There are 6 rinks that will be posted this year, and they include West End Park, Castle Green, Vickers Heights, West Arthur, John Kushner Park, and Volunteer Pool. And finally, Council approved a $1.3 million contract to fix up the waterfront in Victoriaville Parkades. At Victoriaville, the work includes replacing waterproofing materials, repairing concrete, painting stairwells, replacing drains and pipes, and removing flashing. At the waterfront parkade, the work includes repairing window frames and resetting the glass, replacing stairwell cladding, and upgrading the elevator cab finishes. A company from Toronto, Interior Concrete Coatings Inc., will do the work. And that's a wrap as to what happened at Council this week. For more information on anything that happens at Council, please visit our website, thunderbay.ca/council. It's early fall, so you might not be thinking about lacing up your skates right now, not just yet. But at City Council on Monday night, Council heard an update on the Outdoor Rinks policy. The policy was rewritten to make it easier for administration to adjust staffing levels and levels of outdoor rinks right across Thunder Bay. Cory Halvorsen is the manager of Parks and Open Spaces with the city, and he wrote the Rinks report. Cory, thanks for joining me in the Minute Studio.
You're welcome.
So let's go back a little bit. I know we chatted about rinks this spring, so why are we talking about outdoor rinks again this fall?
Yeah, so both of those reports back had been requested the previous fall when we went through some budget reductions in relation to the outdoor rink program. So There was an interest in seeing the updated utilization counts, which were provided in June. And then we were asked to do a review of the overall program and report back by September. So that's why we brought back a draft policy to go aligned with the review comments that we had provided.
So I guess when we look at what you presented last night, I guess what are some of the changes that we're talking about?
Yeah, so a lot of the policy was clean up. Some of the site categories were no longer in place anymore, so we cleaned those out. Adjusted our supervised sites into 2 different categories based on the number of boarded rinks they had. Adjusted the utilization rates to be more fair that way. So if a site has 2 boarded rinks, the target is still 10. But if it only has a single boarded rink, we've reduced it to 5. So all of this seems to align better with the utilization rates that we're seeing consistently. So I think that's going to help. That's going to help us feel more comfortable that making decisions based on utilization rates makes sense because the target matches the site. And then we clarified that what would trigger a posting of a site to the community to indicate that it is at risk of being downgraded. In the past, it had stated that it required 5 consecutive years of reducing utilization rates. We never typically saw that. We always would see a little bit of a variation up and down. So when we were putting it wasn't a really effective tool to rely on. So what we've done is we've just said within that 5-year tracking period, if you have not achieved your target rate a single time, then that would trigger the posting.
So we're not doing the average so much as let's just look at the raw data.
Yeah, we are looking at the overall average, and if the overall average is below the target, then we look backwards, and in that 5-year period, if it hasn't met the target at all, then we would post. But if it had, that essentially indicates there's potential for that site to meet the target, and then we're going to look at ways to, in the overall promotion and communication of the program, make sure that site is being considered properly.
And when you talk about posting a rink, probably people don't really understand what does that mean? What do you mean when you're posting a rink?
Yeah, so the policy included a definition and specifically for what posted meant. So that means that a sign would go up on site indicating to the public that the utilization rate is below target and that the site is in jeopardy of being potentially downgraded the following year should the utilization rates not increase. So it's the communication of that. It's essentially what the posting means. So it includes a physical sign on site as well as other communication methods that we have available to us so that the public is aware.
And when you say you're going to post a rink, it doesn't mean that they're going to disappear, right? It means that they go down a level of supervision or boarded or what have you?
Yes, our typical process is unless it's a pond, if it's already a pond, which is our lowest service level, if it gets posted, then the next step is elimination. I think we left the door open that perhaps if we had a rink location that had a very poor utilization rate, or there was some other reason why elimination was warranted, we could go right from current status to elimination. But the elimination step would definitely require a report to council on that change.
And if we look at the rinks that are to be, I guess, immediately impacted or more impacted this year, do you know which ones they are off the top of your head?
I didn't have the list memorized before I came today, but believe there were 6 sites. One of our park supervised sites, West End, was one. John Kushner, volunteer pool. And then I believe 2 of the community supervised sites.
Yeah, Vickers Heights and Castle Green.
That's right.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. And then so people who wrote those rinks this year are essentially going to see a sign saying, if you don't use it, things are going to change.
Essentially, yes. That target utilization rates are not being met at this site, and if they do not increase and meet the target, the site would be at risk of a downgrade or elimination.
And I guess what is the ultimate goal here? Is it reducing rinks, or is it, because people are going to see that immediately and go, the city just wants to get rid of rinks. What are you hoping to achieve by making these changes?
The goal is to ensure that when we put the time and effort into creating these rinks and maintaining them, that they're being used at a reasonable level. That's really what the goal is. So I think nobody wants to see ice surfaces that are not being used. We want to direct our resources in ways that provide service levels that are being used. So really that's what it's about. There are other, we do want to provide this service as much as possible as well. So we will have some flexibility in evaluating the overall program as these changes potentially occur. But our focus is going to be on finding ways to promote the use of the rinks based on these targets. It's to make sure they're being used and that we are providing them at the highest quality level possible. So I think that's part of this too. So a downgrade can mean a reduction of the number of ice surfaces at a given site, right? So if we have fewer ice surfaces in low utilization rate areas, we'll have more time to maintain ice in others, right? So, or we'll have more time to maintain the single ice surface that is remaining. So quality is a big piece of this, and we have a limited number of internal resources that we get to work with. And that was the challenge with a large widespread program, was that we would struggle on quality at times, whether it was removing snow in a timely manner or getting floods down in a timely manner, especially when the weather doesn't always support it. So that's the benefit of reducing the size of the overall program when you're not increasing staff.
And was that one challenge, I guess, that you saw this past winter? Because it was a very odd winter this last year.
Yes, it was very challenging to establish ice and even to keep it safe and usable during the warm periods through the winter. So we did learn a lot, I think, on how to best manage that type of winter. So I think as we head into this winter, we'll have a revised approach that we're more confident in to make sure we're getting as much ice built as quickly as possible, and without being concerned that it's potentially, we're wasting our time because the forecast doesn't look that cold. I think what we learned was that in December, even if we don't get ultimately the coldest temperatures that we would expect to need to get the ice to be completed, we don't lose that flood the same way that we do later in the season when it's tailing off into the end of the rink season. The beginning of the season, even if you do have a few warm days, you don't really lose the flood. Things melt, but they will refreeze, and they typically refreeze in a safe and suitable manner.
Well, I'm a winter guy, Cory, so I'm rooting for a good solid winter again this year. Yeah. There was one talk that we had in the spring, and I'm going to maybe be catching you off guard here, talking about covered surfaces. Were covered surfaces still on part of the policy, or are they part of the future here?
So yeah, we didn't include that in the policy exactly, but we do have a pending report back in December based on a request from I believe Councillor Johnson back in June to look at covered rinks, concrete pads, synthetic ice surfaces, and I believe outdoor refrigeration options. So we weren't able to pull that together in time to bring that update at the same time as the rink policy, but really all of those are very much a large part asset management type decisions too. And the covered rink structure actually is not only a rink discussion, it is all year summer use discussion as well. So I think that's where we'll see the value in potentially considering something like that, is that it is not just to improve outdoor rink performance. It gives options to do different things in the park in the summer that you couldn't even do before because you didn't have that protected covered surface. Yeah,
so a protected surface wouldn't just be a temporary thing, it would be a permanent installation, potentially.
That's correct. It would be a permanent structure that would protect that area from the elements in the summer, but without being entirely enclosed.
Well, I would say I'll have you back here in December, but that's a long ways away, so let's not focus on that. But Cory, hopefully you'll be back next week to talk about the James Whalen tugboat as well.
Yeah, great. I hope to as well.
Okay, thanks for coming in today. That is Cory Halvorsen. He is the manager of Parks and Open Spaces here in Thunder Bay, and he joined me here today in the Minute Studio. And a big thanks for listening to the Minutes this week. Of course, if you want more information about City Council, agendas, or minutes, just visit thunderbay.ca/council. If you want to listen to past episodes or maybe provide some feedback, visit thunderbay.ca/theminutes. You can also find the Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, you can find us on YouTube and on our website as well. That's thunderbay.ca/theminutes. If you want to keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening at City Hall, just hit that subscribe button. I'm Jeff Walters. Thanks for listening this week. We'll chat again next week. Make it a great day.